It's just a quick run through of making a mount to go in a frame. It's just a quick run through of making a mount to go in a frame. So I just want to talk about some of the things. I'm going to show you my mount cutter. Make sure your surface is clean and make sure your hands are clean. I know this seems such an obvious thing, but I am constantly having something weird on the side of my hand and then getting things messy, so be as clean as possible. I'm going to put down a piece of paper here, just so that I've got a nice clean surface to work on. Okay, so this is the print that I've got. And what I want to do is I'm just going to make a mount with an aperture for this specific print, so it's a bit of an odd shaped print, and I'm going to get it to fit into a shop bought frame. So that's my print, and this is my frame, just a regular shop bought frame. It's an A3, it's not an A3, it's an A4 frame. So here, so it hasn't got a mount in it. I'm going to cut a mount to fit this and to fit my print. You can just measure around your backing board, or you can measure an A4, but I'm just going to show you, just in case you've got an oddly shaped frame or something, we're just going to measure across, which is 21.12, 21.2, and it is just shy of 30, 29.9, 29.9. This is centimeters. Okay, so that is the outside size of my mount that I need to cut. So that one is a really simple one, and when you see, that's the first thing I'm going to cut, is I'm going to cut that outside size. So I'm going to put this away somewhere safe, hopefully, and we'll come back to that. Okay, so here's my print. Now you can see that my print is actually printed just a little step off. So my paper is just shy of 21 centimeters. So my mount is going to be slightly bigger. But what I probably will do is I want to center this. So actually I'll probably have to trim off a little bit here. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to measure the print. So my print is, and I'm going to measure bottom and top just to be sure, 9.8 maybe, 9.8, and let's try up here, be sure, 9.567, yeah, 9.8. Okay, so I want it bigger than that, so you might need to make a decision. Do you want like a 1/2 centimeter or a centimeter around it? Right, I'm going to have a little think about whether I actually want that whole 1 centimeter all the way around, or actually if I want just a 1/2 centimeter all the way around, and then I will come back with my final measurements and get ready to start cutting. So next thing I'm going to do is put this away again, nice and neat somewhere, and I am going to get my my mount cutter out, and I'll show you that, and I'll explain how to use the mount cutter. Okay, so I've set my mount cutter up now. I'm not going to talk through how to set a mount cutter up, because if you've got one, then you've got the instruction book and you can set it all up for yourself and that, and have a play around. But I'm just going to show you. I've got it set up, and the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that outside aperture that fits in my frame, so I can get rid of a lot of the board. I've got quite a large piece of mountboard here. I've got A1, so I'm going to cut that. So it comes with 2 cutters, and I'm going to talk about these in a bit, but the one that I'm going to use is just this straight one, which is for cutting straight lines. So I've measured here on this ruler, and I've screwed my little marker in. So I've measured off just to make sure, but I've also just put a little mark on here as well, and I've put a little mark on here just in case I go a little bit awry. I can just self-check, really. So I'm going to make sure that it's all lined up against all my stop and start points, and then I'm just gonna cut all the way through. Dramatic stuff. Right. So I've got another mark on here that I'm going to cut to. And I'm just going to do this one by eye, because I haven't got enough space in my studio here to measure both directions. So again, I just want to make sure that my mountboard is level with all my edges here. And I've drawn on the back of my mountboard. You can see that I've got lots of writing on here. This is the back of my mountboard. So do be careful that you haven't got anything dirty on your surface of your mount cutter. We need to be doubly careful. Okay, and that's it. We're done. We're ready to cut our aperture out. If you're a little bit worried, go and try this in your frame now and make sure that it fits. And that's definitely what I'm going to do, just to check. Okay, so if you've got a mount cutter, and you can read through all your instructions, and you can cut your aperture where you use there's some little sliders here, and there's some rulers at the side, and you can cut it like that. If you haven't got a mount cutter, then you can work on the back, draw out your aperture on the back, and you can use just a scalpel to cut round, and I should have shown you this before. Just a craft knife, so one like this, or I've got this one where you can take these blades off the handle and put new blades on, and you can use that for cutting your outside edge. Your inside aperture, you can use a little beveled edge cutter, and you can buy them all over the place, but I'm going to show you on this one because this one's very similar. And a beveled edge cutter is just a cutter that is similar shape to this, but it's just on an angle. And when the blade goes down to cut, then it will cut on an angle. Really useful for really just cutting our bevels. One of the things that we've got to remember is when we use our beveled cutter here, we need to make sure that when we cut through, if our angle is going this way, then actually we're cutting along that way. Does that make sense? So that when we turn it over, we've actually got our bevel coming up to meet us, so it's wider on the front and slightly smaller on the back there. So we just need to remember that. And the same as if you're just using a little handheld one that isn't on your mount cutter. The other tool that I had with my mount cutter was this one, which is just a blade in here, and when I press down onto the card it cuts in, and as I drag it along, so as I put my fingers around and pulled it along, it was just slicing through. It means that we're working on this nice sort of sturdy ruler. So if you're going to use your craft knife, then make sure that you've got yourself a metal ruler to work against and that you're holding it as firm as possible. With your craft knife, you'll probably have to cut through the mount board several times, so don't try and cut through all at once. Do 3 or 4 passes as neat as you can, so you're always staying along the edge of your metal ruler and you'll cut right through. Okay, so we've just talked about our different cutting tools, and we want to put a bevel here. So let's have a look. So our beveled cutter is here, and the bevel is going in this direction. So it's going to cut the top of my mount here, and it's going to come out further across. So we need to make sure that our mount board is in this way, and I'm cutting along the outside, not on the inside. You'll see, hopefully. I probably said earlier about you can set this up, but I personally feel a little bit more confident when I've got the lines on there, but it's up to you. Okay. So my little bevel cutter, it's pushing the blade in here, but I've got a little screw at the back here for holding it in if I want to, and I can take that off to put the blade in, but I need my little screw in so that I'm already at an angle. I can set up my my stops here so that I stop and start in the right place, and if I'm going to do a lot I'll set these all up, but as I'm just doing the one, I'll make sure that I stop in time. The other thing to think about is if you're doing this without a mount cutter, you know, make sure that you don't overshoot your edges too far, because on the front you're going to see those cut lines. So we do need to be careful. Okay, so I'm lined up here, ready to go, and I'm going to press in and we'll cut down until I hit that line. I'm going to do my other side because I'm already set up here. Do the other side. Make sure I'm pushed up against all my stops. And hoping that, oh, and there is our mount. Dun, dun, dun. I've got my little bevel in there, so I'm wider at the front and it just bevels downwards, so I can kind of see that inner core. Quite nice if you've got a different colour, so if you've got a black mount with a white inner core, so if you're going to go and buy mount card, then one of the things that you can do is look for the different colours that are inside. Sometimes there's a cream, sometimes there's a white, so you might get a different colour inside to the actual top layer. So, okay. I found this out. I was looking for it all over the place and I found it out, and it's a 40 to 90 degrees precise matte cutter. So if I show you, there we go. So this is your 90 degree cutter this side. Okay, so this is just your straight down, so when you put it on a flat surface, yep, there's your straight cutter there, and you just push that down and pull along. And then this is your 45 degrees cutter, and you push that blade out there and you pull along. It has got a little groove across it, and this ruler here that I've got, let me, ooh, am I coming too close? I have got a little groove on this cutter, on this ruler, so actually my cutter can slide in that groove there. Crimson and Blake, it looks like I might have got this from somewhere like The Works. Most of my other rulers have not got a groove on. So if you are going to buy one of these and you're looking at buying a steel ruler, then it might be a really good idea to see if you can find one with the little groove. I'd be surprised if you get one though, so don't panic about it. But yeah, this is what I can use. So this is the one for my my large mount cutter, and you can see that it's just on the same angle there, and then this back one is just this handled one. So that's all it is. Again, because this is a bit bigger, because everything is on that big mount cutter, then these are going through with one pass. Whereas this, like I was saying before, is, you know, you're going to go 3 or 4 times. You know, don't be pushing as hard as you can. You know, do take your time, have a bit of patience with this. Okay, so let's offer up our print. So I'm just going to do a quick test just to see whether the mount fits my print, and I can see how much I need to cut off on the one side for it to fit in to the mount, and then we'll look at actually how we're going to tape it all together to get that. Okay, so with this, I might have to tweak it a little bit here to get it to line up. There it is. So I did change that outside edge to 0.5 centimetre, so 5 millimetres either side, rather than the full centimetre. It was a bit too much, I thought. But there we go. Oh, cast in the shadow there. There we go. So that's it. Ready to go in the mount. Why not check out my next video all about how to assemble your artwork and newly made mount into your frame. See you then.